Lisa. Well, first and foremost, I'm extremely excited, as I think our coaching staff is, to take our team into a game like this. This will be one of the more hostile and enlightening environments they'll see in their time in college basketball. And I know our team is excited. It has felt a lot different this week, not preparing for numerous games or going from game to game, but it's given us a chance to work on getting better at a lot of different things at both sides of the ball, and a lot of different things that go into it, not just for this game, but for the season. And that's what this week and next week is really all about. There's an element certainly of game preparation, but certainly the most important thing for us is fundamental improvement, because we're not going to have many situations like this the rest of the year where we have one game a week. So I think our guys are excited to play. It's been a productive week. One more day of preparation and practice before we go play against a team that is, I think, outstanding. And their speed and quickness has not changed. The players have changed from last year, but the way that they attack, the way that they get into the lane, that has not changed. And I think they really move the ball well. And they've got some very, very good individual talent that is really starting to play a lot better as a team. So you can see that in a big way as you watch them on tape. So, go ahead.
I guess, Tom, being on the road in this type of environment, offensive patience, how important is that for you? And do you have to show maybe a little more patience on the road as you would at home?
No, it's not offensive patience as much as it's taking care of the ball, decision making. And that doesn't necessarily mean that, I don't think we want to be a team that gets into the shot clock very much against anybody. And good defense makes you do that sometimes. But we're not looking to go up there and be tentative. We're looking to go up there and be smart and attack and to execute. And at the same time, you've got to have a sense of we're going to be playing against extreme length and size, quickness and speed, like I said. So you've really got to understand the decisions that have to be made and taking care of the basketball, because this is not a game where you want to lose the points off turnover battle at all.
You have a group of guys that played up there a couple of years ago. How much of a difference does that make to have guys who are now starting to go through that kind of thing, that second time?
Oh, I think it's too early to tell. I would hope that it will help down the road, but it's too early, with this group. And that was so long ago for the guys that are here and that played in that environment. It's a great environment. I mean, it's one of the toughest in college basketball, and I would hope, and I'm sure that most people say that when they've come through Indiana, over the last 40, 50 years. So it's one of those situations. That's why it's Indiana. It's why it's Kentucky, in the sense of why it's been such a great rivalry. It's not because it's in a half-full building. It's a great venue to play in, and they're an excellent team to go against. So I don't know if we're at a point yet where those kind of things help, but we just got to go and play the game. I mean, we really have to do the same things. We have to really, really take care of the ball. We have to be efficient at guarding the dribble, and we can't, like I said, we can't lose the points off turnover game and the rebounding game.
You have an entire week to prepare for Kentucky, whereas they played last night, and now automatically have to shift their focus to you guys. What kind of advantage is that, just to have that extra time to prepare for them?
I don't know if it's an advantage or not. I mean, they're playing a lot of games, and you try to make each situation that you're in advantageous to your team. When we're playing a lot of games in a row, we were talking about being in a rhythm, and when we're preparing, we're talking about not only getting ready for a game, but getting better. And I'm sure John is doing the same type of thing. There's a good rhythm to their team right now. They came off a tough game with North Carolina. They played very well last night. They held the team to 18 points in the second half, and I would say that that's an advantage. So, I'm trying to build an advantage. They're trying to build an advantage. It's really all how your players prepare and get better for it, and then none of it really matters once you get into the game. It's you've got to go. For us, we've got to go and make shots on the road. There's certain things statistically that have to happen. The mindset's got to be great, but you can't win on the road if you can't make shots on the road. Now, you have to defend at a very high level, but you've got to build confidence, and it's got to be on both ends of the ball. So I'm more concerned about that than anything else.
You started talking a little bit about the differences between this year's Kentucky team and last year's Kentucky team. I guess elaborate on that a little bit. How, with so much turnover, losing all those guys to the draft, how are they different? How are they the same?
Well, I think it's still very much the same system. Maybe a few more set plays than what he's run in the past, but you can see that he's getting it closer to the offense that he wants. But they're just, those are high level players. I mean, that's what Kentucky's going to be about. With John there, they're going to have great players from year to year whether they're there for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. It's the same system. He's not putting anybody out on the court that can't play. There's nowhere to cheat off a guy. There's nowhere to hide anybody. I mean, they're a high-level team, and I think the similarities are they really push the ball extremely well. They get the ball reversed extremely well. They attack you off the dribble, maybe even more this year, because he's got more guys that can really put the ball on the ground than what he had even last year. But last year, so much of it was John Wall and it was Eric Bledsoe. Where this year, but he had Cousins in the post. He wasn't driving the ball like Terrence Jones. So it's a different team in the sense of the matchup problems that they create on the perimeter, and we've got to be really smart with that.
How much more of a challenge is that for your players? Because if it's a Big Ten team, a team that you play year after year, you can kind of get used to guys learn their tendencies, whereas this is almost a different team than they have.
Yeah, but you don't get that advantage if you're prepared for the tournament. You know, when you're in a postseason tournament, you don't get that advantage. And the same thing with any type of, you know, whether you're playing a Thanksgiving tournament or a Christmas tournament like we are this year, it's the same thing. You're not going to be as familiar with those teams. So I think that's the beauty of the game. I think that's why those tournaments are good like that. But again, it's the system hasn't changed. You know, John's players might change, but John hasn't changed. I mean, he's the same coach, and he's one of the best coaches in the game. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt about that, and his teams always reflect that with the way that they guard. He's always been a very, very underrated defensive coach, and he really knows what he's doing with the guys that have all that length, and he creates a lot of havoc. And you know, I don't know what their deflection numbers are, but I know they've got to be high.
What impresses you about each of the freshmen that are playing big roles for them? Knight, Jones.
Well, I think again, fearless. I guess I would characterize maybe being the number one thing with those guys. I mean, they're a huge part of his team. And so, again, at Kentucky, there's not a real wait your turn, learn a role, and you'll figure it out later. I mean, those guys get put to it right away. And so I think they're handling that really well. I thought Terrence Jones was phenomenal last night, like he's been. I mean, there's not many guys in the country, let alone a freshman, that's averaging a double-double like he is. And certainly Brandon Knight is making plays. Deron Lamb may be the most, he gets talked about, but he doesn't nearly get the recognition of being one of the best shooters in the country that he is. But again, I mean, they're a different team. DeAndre Liggins is out there now this year, where we faced him the first year. We didn't face him last year. Darius Miller's that much more experienced. And the guy that scares you to no end is Josh Harrelson, because he's got 30 offensive rebounds in their games. And he's not getting a lot of shots. But anytime you've got a guy that can rebound the ball like that at that size, and he's a very capable shooter, those create problems. So like I said earlier, they're not putting anybody on the floor that is not a high-level player. And you've got to be able to match up with that, you know, no matter who you have on the floor.
When you're out recruiting, you talk to guys that have realistic NBA futures and you feel like they need 1 or 2 years in college. What do you want to hear from them about why they want to go to college?
I don't treat it like that. I really don't. I've never asked in that terms of what makes you want to go to college. I think the biggest key is that someone doesn't come with their bags packed, or they come and they unpack them. Because when you've got 1 foot in and 1 foot out, or you've got I always used to say this before you got the car, you know, it's running, it's in neutral, you know, out in the parking lot, you know, and it's just waiting to take off. I think that's when you run into problems. So I don't have any real theory on that. I think each situation is different because each recruit is different. I think our job is to be able to have a vision for them, and a realistic vision for them. And I have no doubt we have that with our recruits and with our current players. And then it's your job as a coach and coaching staff and an entire program to hold them to that vision if they chose to come for that in the first place. And that means that putting Indiana first, that means putting your education at the top. I mean, I don't think you don't project ahead, well, you know, he'll be out in a year, so he only has to go to 75% of his classes. You know, I mean, we don't ever do it like that. I mean, everybody's under the same guidelines, and that's the way it's going to be as we go down the road, because we're going to be faced with that more and more at Indiana. But that's part of it. And as long as you've got people that are totally putting the program and the university first, and they know that you share in their dream because of the vision that you have for them, and they buy into that, and the people around them buy into that, I think it's a pretty healthy marriage. It's when those get conflicted to where the problems come.
I think you alluded to this a little bit, but do you sense that there's a little bit more energy or intensity with your guys this week, knowing that they're playing Kentucky this week?
Well, we've practiced pretty well. We really have. That's a good question. I don't know if I would say that, because I think they've done a really, really good job of being tuned into everything that we're doing. And it's a long week, and we've been practicing Sunday. We took one day off. And there's been a lot of different things inside of practice. You know, the last 30 minutes of today was all 5-on-0 situation work with the clock. And when they, keeping them locked into the point that practice is not over. You know, but that's the way it's been for them all year. So, I mean, I'm sure they know. I mean, obviously that this is a big deal, and they're going to get there and they're going to see Dick Vitale and Dan Schulman sitting over there. I mean, and it's going to hit them. But they're going to walk in and they're going to hear that group of crowds, and they're going to line up for that jump ball and see all that athleticism and talent on the court. They'll be locked into how hard they've got to play. I know that.
Considering all Mo's been through, he had a big game against them last year. Does it help him to go into this knowing that he's had success against them?
Probably. You'd have to ask him that, but probably. I would assume there would. He had an excellent game against them. But we're not spending a lot of time. We're a different team, you know, than that team now. You know, he's shooting the ball very well right now. I hope that carries over into the games. And again, it's not like I can walk in here and say, well, you know, he's that much more explosive today than he was a week ago. That takes longer to measure with him. But I think knowing that he's had success in games like that, and had success as a freshman, you know, those things help. But it's really just a matter of him getting locked into what we need to do now. You know, like I said last week, defensively, getting into the flow of things even better, and continuing to gain confidence in his ability to shoot the ball as that athleticism and explosiveness come back.
Coach, Kentucky has done a really good job locking down the three this year. What makes their perimeter defense so
Length. It's very simple. Now, they move well, and they've got good feet, and they've got the athleticism, but they have tremendous length. I don't know what their wingspans are, but I would doubt very much 1 through 5 or 1 through 8 that there's a lot longer people, you know, in the game. And when you've got like a +4, +5, that's really high level wingspans. I've coached guys that are +8, you know, +7, just changes the game. I don't know their numbers, but I'm sure they're in that category.
Has the week allowed someone like Bobby to heal up his foot and be ready to go?
Yeah, yes, it has. It has. We expect him to play, but it has. I mean, this was a good week to be off with some of the you know, things that we've had to deal with guys being banged up a little bit. So, you know, we're anticipating a full unit on Saturday.
How's Knight compared to Wall, to Evans, to all the rest of the guys?
I don't think you can compare those guys. I think they all brought something different. As a college basketball fan, you know, when you look at Evans, when you look at Rose, the one thing that stands out with his guards has been their ability to get all the way to the rim. I think that's, and you know, where I'm looking more a lot of times in our recruiting is to help guys develop ways to get to the basket. He pretty much takes ready-made guys for getting to the rim and have that kind of strength and explosiveness. I think Brandon Knight is similar in those situations, but I think he's probably different. And I mean, he was a all-or-nothing scorer in high school, where he had to do a ton of scoring for his team. And I saw him play and seeing some other people play last year, and he had to do a ton of things for his team. And I think what John has done, and I think John did this with the other guys, he gets them really blended into a team concept. But he's different than those guys. But I mean, when it's all said and done, you know, they're always ready to go.